I made a Mad Lad video on the guy who's literally called the Merchant of Death, that America traded for a basketball player that hates America. You know, the man that was famous for selling weapons. Guess what he's doing? You'll never get. Freed Russian arms dealer put back in weapons business, WSJ reports. You know what? I'm having fun, so I'm just going to keep saying it until I get told to stop. Have you been in an accident? And I know with it being keep up body for more quick rent free. So if you've been seated swapped 2 years ago for the US option to get started on your plane. Victor Booth, a Russian arms dealer who was jailed in the United States and then swapped 2 years ago for the US basketball star Brittany Griner, is back in the international arms trade. Wall Street Journal reported on Sunday. Taking an unnamed European security source and other anonymous sources familiar with the matter, the Wall Street Journal wrote that Booth, dubbed the Merchant of Death, is trying to broker the sale of small arms to Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi militants. When Houthi emissaries went to Moscow in August to negotiate the purchase of $10 million worth of automatic weapons, they encountered a familiar face, the mustachioed Booth, the newspaper reported, citing its sources. The potential arms transfers are yet to be delivered, the Wall Street Journal reported. They stop well short of the sale of Russian anti-ship or anti-air missiles that can pose a significant threat to the US. The military's efforts to protect international shipping from the Houthis' attacks, it added. Reuters could not independently verify the report. The Kremlin and Russian Defense Ministry did not immediately respond to Reuters' comment. Is it Reuters or Reuters? I don't care. The request to comment. Because, of course, they're not going to turn around and go, yeah, we are doing this. Spasiba. Fucking, of course, we're not going to admit to it. The Wall Street Journal reported that Steve Zissou, a New York attorney who represented Booth in the US, had declined to discuss whether his client had met with the Houthis, and that a Houthi spokesman had declined to comment. After returning to Russia, following the prisoner swap in December 2022, the 57-year-old Booth joined the Kremlin-loyal ultranationalist Liberal Democratic Party, but has kept a relatively low public profile since. Booth was one of the world's most wanted men prior to his 2008 arrest in Thailand on multiple charges related to arms trafficking. He was extradited to the US and in 2012 was convicted and sentenced by a court in Manhattan to 25 years in prison. For almost 2 decades, Booth was one of the world's most notorious arms dealers, selling weaponry to rogue states, rebel groups and murderous warlords in Africa, Asia and South America. His notoriety was such that his life helped inspire a Hollywood film, 2005's Lord of War, starring Nicolas Cage as Yuri Orlov, an arms dealer loosely based on Booth. I do have to say Lord of War is probably my favourite Nick Cage movie. I understand that that's controversial to say, but I believe it is. Is that it? There you are, that's the end of the article. But yeah, I cannot believe that the Merchant of Death, upon being freed from prison, went back to being the Merchant of Death. I'm shocked. And also, it seems, that America, the country that jailed him for about a decade, he seems to be helping their enemies. I, for one, am shocked. I thought that he would like them. I thought he would like America after what they did to him. So, it's just strange. I beggars belief that the international arms dealer, upon being released from prison and sent back to his own country, went back to dealing in arms. I don't believe it. I'm shocked. I don't think I'll ever get over this.
The stalwart patrons say their name with reverent pride. There's that nerd rider, like Sharon Stone, Metal Gear 2. Something. This man out of con, he could have a family. He could be forced here by the tourists. But I don't care into the ocean with you scum. get in the box. The box move! Once again, just once again, right again. Just once again, right again. Another gift to the sea, another sacrifice. Hey, what are you doing? He won't go against the wall. It's for cafe now. There's too many now. Once again, right again. Fuck you, you shitty game.
Snake, you want to Snake?
Fuck you, Snake! And you, this time you're out. What in the hell? Where did he come from? Let's just turn into a box in my fault, Fred. No, they're not! Just kill me, you crap game. Just kill me, you crap game now. Good gang! Snakes, one giant fish, one again. Snake's a fish. Incompetent game now. Confident game. What are you meant to do in this crap sequence? You shitty crap game. Oh, don't get it. He's in the box now, you'll never figure it out again. Clearly in that box. You think we were stupid?
List the files and encrypt them individually. The data pack.
Gosh, you talk a lot, bitch.
I'd say you have 7 more minutes. Longer if he throws in a joke or two. A 7-minute time limit.
Well, I better not waste it talking to you anymore. Dun. What the?
Snake, what's wrong? Snake?
Well, that was a quick way down. Why would they start looking around for? What a load of cheap shit. The minute they're watching that thing, why would he go, why don't you start looking about? Fuck this game.
Snake?
I have the door.
Right, this is annoying the shit out of me. I don't even remember this being this annoying.
Snake, what's wrong?
What's wrong is this whole game is wrong, you nerd. Run right past this light, they won't see me. Yeah, they will.
Always bear that in mind.
Alright.
Snake, what's wrong?
This game is what's wrong now. This game sucks. Not the best picture, but happy.
Good.
Sounds like he's happy to me.
Former President Sears.
The guy fell asleep on his feet. If I gotta take all these pictures again, where do I even go now? If I gotta do this again. Right. Oh my god, that was the front one, you fucking. The side one, that's the best you're gonna get. You fucking little twat. Scumbag!
It's been a while, brother.
He's part of him, it can't be.
You know who I am.
Why would an arm turn the voice of this man? It doesn't make any sense, does it? So then when we played this, we thought, right, who's this nerd? And surely this will be just for like 10 minutes, and then Snake will overthrow it.
You should know that SEAL Team 10 is also conducting
But
a mission
no,
operation.
you're wrong.
Just push the action button in front of the node.
You gotta love that node riding. Look at this, and some wife of his, who gives a fuck? Oh my god!
Right? The enemy sentry is
Cause of you!
in 1878, cocaine hit Miami like a tidal wave. Well, with the money came the hottest pleasure palace in Miami, the Mutiny Club. My job was to keep everyone
You talk in the town! Thanks for that! Why are you trying to pick him up for?
See ya. Right, posing, he's got martial ability. Not gonna help him against Bolo. This gang sucks.
This operation is under Pentagon's direct command, and the NSTD
We need more talking than the first one. Okay, I don't care. We didn't need to hear that, it was irrelevant. There's the nose. You gotta look.
I've located the node. It's under heavy surveillance.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. Oh, fuck. Man. That's a murdering. What do you want now? Look, the guys ain't got a gun. If you, Colonel, or I don't need one to come date with mission like this. Fucking big!
Right? Watch out. I just intercepted new intelligence on the operation being executed by SEAL Team 10.
You're annoying me with this enunciating. I don't give a fuck about your subplot with SEAL Team 10.
Fort Fox. Delta Force.
I'm doing what me with you.
So you're saying that VR training is some kind of mind control?
I'm saying it's garbage. It creates inept soldiers like you.
Right. What's going on?
The Alphas.
I can't even find a gun, Captain. What's going on? I found a gun straight away. There's one, kid.
No, know that we're involved.
Too late, Colonel. We should have gone with Snake for this mission. I knew it.
You weren't briefed on any of this, and you came in love to root.
With no gun either, you fucking up. Oh, right, I've had enough of this. I don't give a shit about the history of the Marine Corps now. What to talk about it. Fuck.
They could be back in this area soon.
Yeah, so let's keep talking, line.
Face off in your own hotel. Don't let them fear get you.
Pretty much shooting a gun against other people's guns is as well.
The darkness comes.
Yeah. So when guys have got guns shooting at me, that's pretty scary too. It's a good game under all these cutscenes somewhere.
The ceiling of the women's bathroom is set to glow.
Believe it.
That's not like him.
He would dare go in this woman's bathroom normally. Well, I'd say this is the exact spot a fat man would be hiding. The fuck, Ryan, you little idiot. Oh, God, no! Yeah.
Sorry. I said the Chrysler building is in
But
Gotham.
then I skipped this garbage. Look how long they talk. Fuck off. It's impossible. I've got no fans on riding.
And whoever it wasn't the first transmission.
Why you talking like that?
But the possibility of it being true is not.
Good, then. That's enough of this. Who's that over there to keep pointing? The front. The gate. It's a gate just like you thought.
I keep terminal!
I have no plans. Not counting this one.
He doesn't know shit. This is the inner thoughts of Ryder. He doesn't know shit. What a shocker. He doesn't know shit.
It's not lost here. And the church is lost.
Oh, God, do we need to hear this? Right, I don't give a shit, Frank. Look at all this. Who gives a shit about the secondary characters? Love story continues.
Dreaming of Russian pussy and keep going.
Are you kidding me? Like he'd have the reaction to both the great riders. Did you see me there? Die then, Raiden! Frank's dead. It was kind of funny. No one remembers, Bob. We never even heard of you till today. 10 seconds. We found your Bob. I'll see you over here. It won't get me here at the end of time. So you get one chance. Fucking bomb's meant to be. No target you. You're not a target anyway.
Good work, Ryder. Looks like all the bombs are neutralized.
Yeah, why are you talking like that, Colonel? You stuffy annoying brat. Controller, this is real.
What are you not telling me? I've been completely open with you, Ryder.
I've heard enough from you, Colonel. You can't knock a guy out of the air. Wheel spinning, you kitty. Fucking kitty! Oh my fucking God! Way too fucking smart and fucking stuff in this shitty game. Never. Never. Where is it now? Go. Fight. Look out for that blocker. Some guy blew up. Who did it? Why would they know he was me? You fucking flash game designer.
Gate destroyed.
That's the
inner gate remains.
Garbage there. Fucking game. This fucking thing. Look out for that wall. Get on your fucking great soldier. Oh my God. Oh my. Why was bumping into it make my outfit fall off? This game is fucking so dated as shit. It's too sensitive, this thing. I can't fucking move it. And this thing keeps moving. Right, I'm ready to quit this fucking shitty game, man. This is fucking garbage.
Right, come in.
Bang steak right now again. Getting in the shower stuff. What?
I'd be out of here in a second.
To get married to Rose.
Why keep fighting?
Why keep pony?
There's something my best friend said.
Why did you join the military, Ryder, then? Just go be a grocer, you bitch.
Or anyone
Go
else.
be a model. Let's go. This game is so intensely played by today's standards. It becomes so awkward. I gotta do all this shit again, you crap game. What the fuck? Who's through that? There you go. The controls on this analog are horrible. Where is it from your life? What the fuck's he doing? Up there! What the fuck are these controls? They're god awful. What the fuck is up there? What in the fuck?
It's necessary to verify the facts.
So we don't need to hear from you. What do you want now?
Right, are you reading me?
I'm underwater. I'm not listening to whatever you're saying. I don't know this fucking shit. Oh God, there's more cutscenes. Just get on with it!
What caused this purified hydrogen bomb?
Purified hydrogen bomb?
Post bomb? Why is he telling him all this? He wants to kill him. Right, I'm not interested anymore. I don't give a fuck about the bomb. Get on with this. could actually explain everything too much about Right, I've had enough of this. Let's dance. Now what's up? I don't care about your sob story. Let's move.
There's nothing wrong with my dress. I wear it for show.
Trying to be different from
What weirdness is this? Skip this. I've had enough. What the fuck are they doing?
So are you really a hero?
Let me ask you this. Big last war, or leave me?
What?
Humble beginnings, huh? And where should I go? This way? Yes. Thanks, Ron. I need more firepower. Oh, I like it. Keep up the overwhelming force.
What the fuck are they doing? These controls are embarrassing, Kojima! Another cutscene! Do we really need to hear about this?
That's not what happens. All right.
That's enough. We've got a key mission. What is this? The soap opera.
Are you beating me?
Look at all that pointless dialogue. I'm not interested in this.
It's okay.
We'll go get it. Either way. Oh, my... Do we need to hear about this? Fuck you! Did we give a shit about that either? Fucking you! Why did you stay? Get the fuck off! Why is he making his games annoying or something, this idiot? What's that noise? And a keyboard? What just happened?
Open your eyes.
If I have to do all that again, I'm done. I didn't shoot. What just fucking happened? If I have to do this whole sequence again, I'm done. Right, I'm done. I didn't... This might go on for long enough. This is so fucking tedious. What is this? This shit game. What the fuck did this keep on? Where's this fucking brush? This game just pisses me off, man.
Big box. Isn't everybody?
We're in the balls. Keeping his hand on his dick when he died. Very Scooby-Doo the way this is all gets explained in this. Like, Ella. Feel the expedition. Me again! Stupid, isn't it?
I've been inside this arm all along, waiting for the right time to awaken.
Isn't it stupid? You bet it is. What? Oh my god, I pressed the wrong button to get off. You shit fucking game. What are you getting through this with that? How are you meant to get your hands in there? Rock what a powerful game. Only the best gamer ever.
Never been made before.
What? Radical, you're missing out. It's passion. Who said that, Skipper? I don't want my genes to pass on. I'm a living thing. Or am I? Am I really a simulation? And we keep saying everything's overpopulated and destroying the environment. Well, the best we do is not have kids. That's what I'm doing my bit for the environment.
YouTube Premium is had YouTube Music Premium. A whole lot just for streaming music uninterrupted. Try 1 month free of charge.
Inner gate destroyed. Protect the command. Enemy team is breaking.
أدين لك بحياتي.
Mais le problème, je ne crois que c'est pas là-bas. Ben, il n'y a pas de problème.
Inner gate destroyed. Kill the commander.
Ad profundi!
Your team is breaking.
You think you can win? Soldiers, charge! You!
Glance upon my hairy ass if willing and able. And the subsequent tinge of humiliation I felt in that moment was still much less than when I tried to capture good footage of myself using this incantation. Yes, you cannot cast this and look like you know how to play the game. It just doesn't work. The superhuman amount of foresight required to see this fucking seconds into the future to ensure as little resistance as possible is so far out of reach of us normie losers that wasting an uplifting aromatic or leaden heart eardrops is how it's required. Or at least if there isn't a wall nearby to cheekily hit someone through. Number 22, Rulami's stories must I recommend you only endure on the stagger trick to lessen the hyper armor burden when you're in the air, but I actually think the windup for this might last longer than 3 seconds. Not even one of the most reliable weapon ashes in the game can bring this shitty butt to sensible standards. You'll be stuck dodging shockwaves and ground crawlers for the rest of the time like the game itself didn't already give you a fucking jump button. But if you're married to the idea of extra verticality, then you might as well just cast something with a bit of range on it, like, I don't know, like the only other 2 moon spells in the entire game. It makes good furnace golem pellets, so Lord Abbas ain't gonna be planning a hiking expedition anytime soon. But if my list of positives for a spell begins and ends at good at taking out 2 red pills, what's the It works. Nothing about it was changed in 1.13, but I feel it just got worse. Number 21, Light of Mikola. I'm really glad the bug regarding the damage boost on the Circlet of Light finally got ironed out, so that I can now confidently say it doesn't mean a shit. Godfrey Icon and Roar Medallion are tapping their feet in the waiting room, but the Circlet called in and made an appointment or something, so that just means he's more important, I guess. It could have been a 50% boost, and I still wouldn't see myself rolling around with Light of Mikola as a mainstay. It's just way too expensive. You don't even get it till the end of the whole goddamn game. The secondary bullet raid might as well be a confetti particle effect that slowly outlines the words "you got scammed." And if you're trying to co-op a boss with this in your build, just put it away. I'm serious. I'm so tired of getting summoned in for help, only for the host to shove the Helldiver's orbital laser up my fucking ass when all I'm trying to do is swing a hammer. Just put it away. Number 20, Nidra's Flame of Frenzy. Also, if you wouldn't mind hearing other things I'm definitely growing tired of, since apparently that's a selling point. Not being able to record in ultra high, growing prices of GPUs, every single frenzy spell being a slightly varied reiteration of weird ass yellow light beam travels forward and makes lightning sounds for some reason. Fucking economic. I don't know. Later, and we're just stuck over here casting the same 7 reproductions of Frenzy Thirst. And yell really loud. Hope you have the H1 talisman, because that's really the only thing you're going to be able to use this for. And I'm starting to feel like saying it's good for firing at a dragon's ball sack is really close to becoming the new resetting boss fight, so I'm just going to say this trouble now. Number 19, Land of Shadow. I can insult it as much as I want, but credit due is credit due. Someone had to suggest this take up 2 slots. I just can't allow my brain to believe there was a unanimous agreement in the office that Elden Stars 2 only needs a single spell slot. That just didn't happen. Someone had to say, hey, this should cost 2, and then Sheldon spoke up for all of us and replied to that email with, hey, Mark, that's fucking stupid. And that means they're learning. That means we have a voice. And the incantation is still fake dog-ass with a record-breaking heat index, but that's perfectly fine, because it is allowed to be. And I'm allowed to recommend choosing a comically oversized sunflower in just about any situation, because that is just what you should do. Number 18, Great Sword of Radon Light. Wow. Three options. I need to slow my ass down. I can't handle another all-weapons duel right now. Why are things so much harder at 1.30? Getting harder than a toddler with a plastic lightsaber and a full diaper is not an accomplishment, let alone something that needs to be repeated in forums. Or the problem here might be making a boss with enough visual effects to give a professional top-of-the-line a mental breakdown that is now even making the mistake of raising the bar to an unrealistic height. You could have had the chance was just like not even less. How do you even compete with a moveset designed to be a fucking benchmark test for your PC? Number 17, Full Blade of the Bud. We're actually heading up into no longer ass territory. Probably stop exaggerating my distaste for all these items. Honestly, most of the stuff we've already covered is still just okay. Like, they're remembrance items. That's the whole point. Full Blade of the Bud is, well, nothing by the only other option. You're always going to choose it anyway, but once you get past the whole why no scale with arcane business, it's got some pretty decent potential if you offhand it with Answer Rapier. And with the newly included TPFB Ash, rock builds finally have a future, even if that future is just not having to lift the box somewhere. You have to really dedicate yourself to making it work, but it can work. I would have been just as happy as anyone else if 1.13 gave this not how the world works sometimes. Number 16, the Gazing Finger. Okay, we really just need to stop telling people you skill on this only scales with faith, because I'm like 95% sure that bullshit. I guess if the skill is just the same omen for all the same conditions, one with 20 intelligence and 60 faith, and then another with 50 intelligence and 20 faith, and the damage gap was literally just 6. Like, just 6. That was it. In fact, when I took the element scaling ID and plugged it into this parameter here, it has both intelligence and faith check marks for magic damage, which is a pretty solid indication that it scales with both. I honestly would prefer it just scale with one or the other, because we already have way too many stack button weapons to worry about, like the Royal Greatsword. All it does is make leveling for it a very slow grind, because scaling off of multiple stats like this usually means those scalings are very small. But the tables don't lie, so let's stop telling people this only scales off of faith, okay? Because it literally doesn't. Number 15, Enraged Divine Beast. A remembrance item that can only boost like 8 different units. Okay, well that's not a good start. No matter how good Stormblade ends up being, the very selective lineup of skills and spells this talisman can boost just means it's more likely to lose against another Remembrance reward. However, 10% is 10%. Niche isn't always bad, and if the build isn't good, I only preference that it actually feels like it should boost a lot more than it does. Thundercloud Form, Vacuum Slice, and Dryleaf Whirlwind, which is literally a synonym for the word storm. I don't know, I'm just being a picky bitch, I guess. This is actually one of the better talismans in the game. Well, it's never going to win against a corporeal fingernail that shits lightning into the bottom. That whole sentence barely even makes sense, and all I did was drive one of the spells. Generally a good indication that it's worth it. Number 14, Divine Beast Frost Stomp. It's really not that strong unless your intelligence is up to at least the 50s, and the added benefit of it being chargeable does very little to separate it from the vanilla Frost Stomp. But at this point, man, I'm just glad I found something in the DLC the God of the Icon actually fits out of bed for. Charging it gives you around 40% more magic damage and over twice the amount of damage. It probably has a higher priority as a status tool than it does as a damage option. The Ashivore itself is fine, but a chargeable vanilla skill is honestly incredibly disappointing as a remembrance. I'm fine with Horrormoon's Earthshaker even if no one uses that ass trash, but at least it didn't make me wait for over 2 years just to get to it. Number 13, Veil's Flame Lightning. Probably the single most tested situation that's ever come out of the game. Alright, so let's start with the goods. You can turn completely around during the cast, 3 separate damage types, and just buff recovery time to cast another spell is surprisingly short once the hit lands. And now for the bads. You can fire it up and go have lunch before it actually lands. No at all, or at least not enough, beats 53 fucking arcane, requires way too much player accuracy for a remembrance implication that isn't even useful. If you think it's good, it's probably because you were just already built it. If you think it's bad, it's probably because you weren't buffing it correctly. Every argument made for and against it has some arbitrary for like 5 people. So I think the only objectively correct placement for this reward is just a big ol' who gives a shit. Sometimes fence sitting makes my ass itch, but other times it's just a better place to be. Number 12, Relana's Twin Blades. See above. Lots of hits. The C scalings across the board when fully upgraded are a little misleading, but not really that much. The scalings translate to 0.67 that's 6.5 in space of intelligence, technically making it a quality build weapon if your min-maxing fetish is that much of a problem. Both stance attacks on the skill come up really short with hyper armor, they're highly telegraphed and easy to avoid, and emotion values on the stance R1 feel especially weak, but the equally dispersed scaling means no build can really go wrong with it either. I don't know, it just feels like another... Keeping it up isn't really a big it's not I can't get there so you're missing us. Number 11, Veil's Tyranny. Still no War Medallion? No? Oh, okay, just asking. Big Shockwave still only hits one guy at a time? Yep, alright. Oh, this one's gonna be pretty hard to defend, but I'm gonna try it. 325 fire damage and 210 lightning damage and speed. Hard. Veil's Tyranny is not good. It's not even ego. It's a damn good hit. Not exactly being rid of Rock Mountain, but it's a couple small changes away from difficult here, at least in my opinion. Not having any interaction with the Roar Medallion honestly doesn't mean much, since it can still be boosted with Dread Talisman, the Rock Heart, 80 fire and lightning boosting items, tears, talents, spots, rares, whatever. But if I'm given a choice between this and Grail Roar, I'm sorry, but that's the closest to objective you're going to get in a tier list video. Same amount of slots, comes with a debuff, actually gets boosted by Roar Medallion, bigger shockwave, quicker recovery time. It's just better. Number 10, Vortex of Trust. Don't do what I did capturing footage for this and start hugging walls trying to get it to hit twice on a standard size enemy, or else you might need to buy yourself a new GPU after your 1060 shit biscuit is done filling its diaper. I've almost crashed my game trying to cast this, and that's not something I can confidently say for any other spell. But the damage got up from 280 to 328 in the 1.13 patch, and its Frostbite buildup has been up from 100 to 170. It honestly felt pretty comfortable to use even before. If you weren't in timeout and someone wasn't forcing you to stare at the corner of a wall. It's got hyper armor, it's got cast speed, it's good at punishing overly aggressive players and bosses alike, and if your only gripe with it is its 2-slot requirement, then you might just need to pull up your bootstraps and enjoy completing the side quest and getting the fuck over yourself. Number 9, Great Sword of Radahn 4. This weapon skill is fucked. In the direction of up, specifically, as in it fucks up. It's an up fucker. Breaking the It's such a long list of values. I feel like it would break the pace of the whole video. So I might just tell my editor to flash up numbers or something here as a little visual graphic while I'm just attacking the areas. I'm serious. This paragraph would be 2 fucking minutes long if I actually tried to explain to you how this all works. It's really damage that scales with the numbers. That's just about all you need to know to fully picture this Jackson Pollock-esque mess of balance and scaling this weapon. That's these swords throw out. 10,000 damage better be the ground floor. Also, maybe don't give the actual boss so many abilities and attacks that you have to spread them evenly between 3 different remembrance options, 2 of which are just the same asset. What, did all that Scarlet Rot fatten up his fucking swords too? Number 8, the Putrescence Fleet. When you get past the really bizarre stat choices, this great axe really isn't bad when it comes to just earning a 5 once. And all I apparently had to do for it was trade in my spine for a linking of stackable markers from early 2000s elementary schools. You thought you would throw this as a boomerang like the boss? Bitch, you love the boomerang. All it's missing is the ASMR sounding phone. Skeletons. One scale keep strength on a +10, and those standard R1s start looking mad powerful. You need it. And the extra frostbite ends up feeling like an accessory to a weapon that's already way too stacked for it to look like an actual 18th century tank. Number 7, Great Sword of Damnation. Supersonic. Set a Chad, Claymore, move set enjoyment. There, enjoy your Reddit karma. Wasn't expecting this. Swords with pierce damage on it get thrown in the dex pile. Not really a complaint or anything, I'm just really surprised. That Ash of War shits hyper armor, and the corkscrew visual of the Great Sword itself perfectly encapsulates the amount of screwed the average tool this is going to be once you resort to such hateful means. Could have gone the extra mile on that heavy animation and added to the attack the boss does when you thrust it out, but I think 90% of you just want to hear numbers instead of a bald guy throwing a bitch fit from his single bedroom apartment and bitch a thought came. So, fine. And the follow-up AOE has motion out of it will be 290, and it gets boosted by the Dagger Talisman, but not the Blade of Mercy. Okay, there, whatever. There's your map. Number 6, the Shallow Sunflower. Watching damage rack up into final 50. The sorrier I begin to feel for all the Ghostland dragons and the one-handed death rifler chilling out the scar of that. Like, he's probably just trying to raise his 19 grave-furred kids. Leave him the fuck alone. He has enough to deal with. Interestingly enough, the split between physical and holy damage is almost even. All stats across the board with a +10 Blossom, the divide only ever stretches to around 20 points of damage in favor of holy. Number 5, Mesmer's Horde. I guess maybe an animation of the character hyper-extending their legs like Mr. fucking Fantastic. Why I keep getting my ankles taken out by sneak attacks. Otherwise, pretty good. Black Spike's armor is a minor complaint, but it doesn't really kill it, since there ain't no problem a good old bit of spatial awareness can't fix, most of the time. Flinging yourself into a giant bale-sized AOE expected to guide video be able to fix. And the damage on it is, I don't know, it's fine. It's above average, at least. Still seeing people saying it's pissed, and I still just don't see it. But perhaps a little upwards nudge on that player hitbox won't hurt it, especially since the charged animation literally just had you hanging in the air for a good 3 seconds. I swear to God, this wasn't a problem in 1.12, but nothing on the most recent patches say any changes were made to the hitbox of this imputation. So I might have just been gambling. Number 4, Blades of Stone. 1.13 was really kind to this sorcery in particular, but I don't think it charges that. Actually, got received by around 8 points of damage. Insane. Definitely one of the larger adjustments I've seen come out of the patch. The upward adjustments on this are nice, but adjusting all these values here only further proves that they at least know about the Godfrey problem. Like, there's no way they don't. Offhanding the Meteorite Staff still improves its damage by 30%, which feels that much nicer after 1.13 adjustments, and its total range got extended by around 40% as well, which is one of my biggest connections in Sorcery now. It feels like it can hit things a lot more consistently now. You don't need to space shit out nearly as much, and it can drill a hole into Placidus Axe's fat, stony ass even faster than before. Number 3, the Sword Lance. Probably the single most general purpose, one-size-fits-all solution for strength. That's not a joke for an exaggeration, they really knew what they were doing when they made this weapon. The running R2s mimic that of a spear moveset, giving you multiple hits in a single a lot of on it and open up that window even more, since the first attack on the Ash has a total status MB of 325 if all hits been that. I honestly really like what they did with the running R2 because it ends up closing the same amount of distance, if not more, than the standard running R2 on other heavy thrusting swords. The running R2 is kind of a staple of that weapon class too, so replacing this single attack could have easily tits up the whole thing in so many different ways, but it honestly didn't. It's actually a 1.74 when fully upgraded, which is 1/100th of a decimal point away from an S. So don't be dissuaded by that A, it is the single most dishonest A in the whole thing. If you want high AR, the Sword Lance has it. If you want status, the Sword Lance has it. Number 2, Spear of the Impaled. This spear is just kicking its little feet back and forth in every single power pool, and the multi-hit weapon skill is good with the Ruby Sword Talismans. The first fire wave on the skill goes way further than most people think, and I don't even see that many NPCs trying to dodge out of its way. The Hyper Armor is just barely tickling the balls of unfair without actually treading over that line. The charged R2 gets boosted by the Smithing Talisman since we're throwing the spear. Using set attack on horseback actually makes horse-mounted combat feel fun again, especially against bosses like Commander Gaius. The stat requirements reflected scaling very well. The entire skill, except for the fire projectile at the beginning, all scales with weapon level, which is always good. And fire damage is a really nice way to deal with all the horn sync enemies in the final DLC area. It's better than good, it's better than great, and if you've been ignoring it this whole time, you're just playing a scarily worse version of the game than the rest of us. Number 1, Staff of the Great Beyond. Firstly, I would sentence all who find this catalyst ugly to 20 years of blindness if your take wasn't already indicative of you staring too long into a solar eclipse. Secondly, I can't in good faith say I actually predicted this because the only time I bring up the idea of catalysts that can do it all is specifically in a video where I explain why I don't think that would make sense and would result in a shitload of power creep since there are only 2 branches of spellcasting in Elden. But then they just went on and did it in now you can cast anything you want on any day under any condition. This opens up so many ridiculous windows for casting builds. If you're that attached to stacking everything with Golden Valve, I would also expect with this torque of a catalyst the scaling would be good, but it's like not. Like it's actually really fucking good for like no reason. 1.38 on both intelligence and faith, which beats out the Gelmir staff by almost 0.2. Obviously, if you're just looking for spell scaling, it's never going to beat out the death staff, or even half of the unique catalysts for that matter if you properly build it. But if you're for faith, staff without borders.
Guardian champion. Made it okay. He possesses the two skills that can nature. And anyone will get block active skills and block buffs for 2 turns. And I will get a massive heal of perfect heal for 2 turns.
making him super versatile in the arena. Special thought? First, let's establish perfectly start. Such a top opponent. And the powerhouse.
So, make a comment below about why you think I did this to myself. Talismans! You ever be scrolling on YouTube and you find this insane video of a naked dude one-shotting the fire giant with nothing but a comically oversized rolling pin and a thirst for ad revenue? Well, you got talismans to thank for that. Talismans are not necessary for an enjoyable playthrough, not even a little bit, but talismans have such a diverse scope of utility, so much more than anything I've ever ranked on the channel. You gain HP with successive attacks, increase attack with successive attacks, boost max HP, max MP, max stamina, equip blows, more damage with fire or magic or lightning, increasing stats, physical defense, enhancing guard counters, plus attacks, counterattacks, attacks on horseback. Oh god, Jesus. Okay, stop. We're running out of screen space here. Calm down. Seriously, how the hell do I even rank this one? It's purely a visual change. Mechanically, it's waste of a talisman slot, but it's not like it requires working at all times, right? So to keep everyone happy and so we can go without having a definitive worst talisman ever label, I'm just going to abstain from ranking this one because I don't even think it makes sense to. But I'm still putting it on the 91st space because mechanically it is the only talisman in the game that gives you nothing. But I've seen kids above you who don't have seen everything, so I can only be wrong. But this functionless, purposeless waste of dead pixels still kills you if the fall you're taking is high up enough to kill you, and I think that might be what's fatal and what isn't when someone smarter than me has already made a 20-minute long video explaining faulting. And I know for a fact they hated themselves after they finished it. Because that's how I would have felt. As though I don't already make a system immediately port back to the grace I came from out of rage just to reset the lost health anyways. Absolutely nobody defended this, and that's because we know a scam when we see one. Just use soft cotton. I'm not wasting a talisman slot on this. Whatever, shut up. Why? That's an honest question. Why in the fucking hell? When is an enemy self-aware enough to ever aim for the head in this game? This will only ever happen to you by accident. Not even the ancestral railgun are good enough to pull off no-scopes like this. There's just no point. It doesn't even stack with Mad Pumpkin health. The effect doesn't carry over to critical hits or counterattacks, and only enemies with vertically downward attacks even have a chance of squeezing any use out of this, which are almost always heavy attacks that are easy to dodge. I'm sorry, are we playing the same game as FromSoft? Why am I ever in a situation typically taking damage to the head? This is fucking Resident Evil. Listen, I know this item is useful. Really, it is. That's not a joke. But I cannot, under any circumstances, justify wasting a talisman slot over just using the Twiggy Graftier in its place prior to a boss fight. So it's not some sort of cracked foresight to get some use out of it. I can't wait to completely forget that I have it and then spend the rest of about 15 minutes going through the same run-back loop and picking up the same pile of runes before a boss fight even begins, and then getting killed immediately after because I tried to go out of my way to pick up the runes. It's good as a last resort if you don't have the tier and just aren't confident in your survival skills in a specific area, but there's almost always a better use for one whole talisman slot, with the added benefit of looking like a ghost at the expense of taking 2 extra weapon swings to kill everything, or whatever you put into that talisman slot for. I don't know. All I know is purely positively, a very little business taking up talisman slots, let alone actually weighing more than 0 pounds. If you're a host, you can disguise yourself as a cooperator, which means the other guy invading you will be taking you out first, thinking you aren't the host. You'll die, the session will end, and you're going to feel like a massive dumbass. The two heroes are the aberrant sorceries of talismans, though as to say, they're only kind of useful when you use them both in tandem. If someone else looks like a host while you look like a cooperator, that's an issue that can happen in PvP invasions, but if not, just give up on ever finding these useful. Yes, I'm aware of how big your dick is if you use this talisman. Everyone is very proud of you. But minus 100% damage negation with no payoff is like being able to show a massive dong, unfortunately does not fit the criteria of this video. Which means this should technically be the most useless, right? It's the only talisman with an objective disadvantage and no benefit. Well, guess what? You can have this talisman on while entering a Mimic Tier boss room and then take it off right when it spawns in. The Mimic Tier will take double damage. Holy shit, they still haven't patched this. I mean, they probably will now that I said this, so enjoy it while it lasts, I guess. Farming is a necessary evil in most, if not all, RPGs. It's as indisputable as the existence of death, but finding it in the path for the Halo Tree dungeon means two things. One, I already successfully farmed most of what I needed or wanted for this playthrough. Two, if this is my first playthrough, I'm just not getting it. I probably don't even know the Halo Tree exists, and I certainly wouldn't know to take a leap of faith to an invisible bridge and know it's behind an illusory wall. This almost certainly makes it a new Game Plus item, and at only 75 item discovery, I'd rather just keep eating feet for the rest of the game. Just go ahead, take that out of context, I dare you. Tell you what, I'll even cut out the music so you have clean audio. I'd rather just keep eating feet for the rest of the game. We already know how deeply seated the neglect for bowmanship runs in the arteries of FromSoft's headquarters, but come on, this is fucking ridiculous. 10% increase when most bows are already used for status-inflicting machines and not raw damage. That 10% also carries over to any ranged weapon skills that are compatible with bows. You know what else increases weapon skills? I can think of a few options. The fact that you can literally take 2 minutes to just go to Alexander and get his talisman near Saints Bridge speaks volumes of this talisman's incompetence. Not to mention bow damage can already be buffed like most other damage anyways. Easy access to elemental damage means you'll likely have a better time focusing on elemental buffs instead, and using bows for status is basically just another status playthrough. What, you want me to be nicer? Okay, fine, it works with Jarkan. There, that's the only compliment you're getting out of me. Raises the potency of what FromSoft? All the ball-busting damage from that good old uplifting aromatic? The only consistent perfume that benefits from this is spark aromatic, which means not even blood boil is compatible since it's technically a body buff like most other perfumes. If you're going to use consumables, just use for pot damage with Companion Jar and use perfumes as fight buffs. You need to have a helmet you can wear to help you out. Fortunately, the spark aromatic does kind of slap pretty hard, and the ballpark 17% damage boost it gets from the talisman can make it really shine. But that means dedicating an entire talisman slot to a single offensive option when anything that boosts fire damage would work just as well. 4% increase to sorcery damage is not only underwhelming, it's also arguably pointless, considering so many sorceries are capable on their own, even in Game Plus iterations, without needing more than one Game Plus. Raven School is really only something you get use out of if your inner calculus buffs are only it's just that I can stick a minute behind a fog gate escalating my power like goddamn Virgil and still not be completely sure I didn't. In comparison, very even if stacked multiplicatively. No, grabs do not count as critical hits, so won't work against Godfrey, Melania, or Black Knife Assassins. Yeah, I'm sad about it too. This is effectively a PvP talisman if you don't count NPC invaders, but against fuckers who are practically parry-dependent like Moongrim, you'll notice a pretty huge difference. 30% extra resistance is a large number no matter what the context is, so I can't say it'll never help if you're strictly looking for PvE benefits, but backstabs and riposts are very particularly PvP functions of the game, and that's where you'll notice them much more. Also a pretty great talisman to put on shield poke builds, but if you've been on the receiving end of one of those, you probably already know that. The health regen offered by this talisman is 2 HP per second, and that's just as atrociously shitty as it sounds. You may notice the effects in the early game when your vigor is barely scratching 15 and standard poison can be enough to kill you, but the game gives you so many different regen tools and incantations that dedicating a talisman slot to 2 HP per second almost feels counterproductive. The real value of this talisman comes from the amount of regen effects it can stack with, i.e. just about all of them. But if I'm walking around with Royal Remain Set and Icon Shield casting Blessings Boon, I'd much rather have that talisman slot going towards something that'll help me kill shit faster instead of another regen effect that I probably don't even need. 4% is still borderline incapable in most situations, but I'm willing to put this a couple spots above Graven School because incantation builds have a versatility to them that you can't usually get with sorcery builds, at least not as much. Don't get me wrong, sorcery's gotten better at being flexible recently, but magic damage is still the obvious focus. Having a 4% boost on multiple types of damage is better than having that boost on one. Some incantations like Dragon Maw and Dragon Claw and Stone of Garank have extremely high physical damage, so even if a measly 4% is never your best option, 4% of this number is still pretty decent. And you better get used to it because you aren't seeing a pixel of that flock canvas talisman until Millicent's questline is finished. Horseback combat was something we were all excited for on day one, and now I barely see anything about it at all. Shit, you barely saw anything about it a week after release. That's because most people were very quick to realize that the primary benefit horseback gameplay gives you is transportation. As gratifying as it feels approaching a mob of trash-tier enemies and sizing up the community's amputee population by just holding out your sword, it's far from the most practical strategy. It doesn't even affect bows, which is the one weapon I would actually argue is more beneficial on horseback. And even then, 15% damage is piss poor unless you're actually standing beside something slapping away at them, which, why the fuck are you even on the horse at that point? The physical attack increases are hard locked to very certain weight thresholds, which takes out a lot of control the player has over the effect, since boosting your max equip load with another talisman won't change anything. It only works specifically on physical damage, so don't go sniping people with lightning spear expecting it to do anything. There's a bit of risk to making this one really work, because you'll be in a lot of close combat situations with less protection than you probably want, but physical damage does include bestial incantations, so I guess you can argue a pretty good case with Stone of the Ring or Dragonfly. Otherwise, this is extremely situational. Spotted Necklace gives you 40 or 60 extra resistance to all status ailments across the board, and this sounds incredibly useful, but let's actually stop for a minute and think about this. How many instances in the whole of Elden Ring are you ever being threatened by more than 1 or 2 ailments at any given time? I can't think of a single enemy that can deal Deathblight and Scarlet Rot with one set of attacks. Maybe if they swap the Noxella Dragonkin with one in Lake of Rot, I could make a solid argument for this talisman, but otherwise I just don't think this is a problem that exists. This seems to me like a talisman for newcomers who may not be that familiar with how status ailments work and aren't putting too much thought into a character build. It's probably really great if you're doing a randomizer run though, so I guess that counts for something. Twin Blade Talisman strengthens the final attack in a chain by 45%. Now please control your erection, because that's nowhere near as useful as it sounds. In most situations, you will never use the final hit in an attack chain, because most weapons, even heavier ones, have at least 4. And the heavier weapons that have less attacks in a full chain are more likely to knock back enemies once you stance broken, making them unable to receive the final hit. So you can't even reliably use poise damage as a strategy either. No matter how you look at it, it comes up short. Against large enemies, it could be useful, but this is still mostly a game where you should be more interested in saving stamina for an emergency dodge instead of wasting it all on an attack combo you almost never consciously complete. I'll start out by saying, I see the appeal with this one. Sometimes getting hit by something you aren't expecting really just wrecks your momentum so badly that you don't mentally recover and you end up dying to something even stupider and more ridiculous. But minus 30% damage negation in a game where the final fork of the experience already has no problem wiping you from existence with a single sneeze is teetering on the edge of unusable. I would almost call it a crush of sorts. You get too used to playing with it that it becomes a new normal, and when you take it off, you actually find out you were just barely mistiming things the whole time. Maybe switch the negative effect to dodges across the field stamina or something, then maybe I'd give it a serious. This is when I'm inevitably forced to eat my words, because I think I've given more tips on how to avoid the Albinaric snipers in Ordina than I've told people fire damage resets frostbite. Well, guess what one thing this Concealing Veil actually excels at? Guess what else it does? Sweet splendorous fuck all is what it does. The stealth benefits you get while crouching alone gives you more than enough freedom to dick around, and the only thing the Concealing Veil saves you from is if someone decides to abruptly turn around and you just happen to be in their line of sight. What is this, a fucking Hitman game? When has this ever happened? This one is weird because this talisman in particular has been the source of a lot of deceit online. It has misinformation so deeply entrenched in the community that I'm actually afraid to tell people it doesn't work the way people think it does, partly because I have a couple videos spreading said misinformation. The only thing we know for certain is that Shabriri's Woe allows you to hold aggro on enemies longer and more consistent. This means the only time you'll ever get use out of it is during co-op, or if you use a spirit summon to then put the talisman on yourself. It does not make enemies attack more frequently or make them more aggressive in any way. It just makes them hyper-fixated. So if you don't fancy playing tank builds, you probably won't get value out of this. The survivability of this talisman is very interesting. No matter what else I say about it, I can at least compliment it in that Taker's cameo is the biggest crutch of the entire game, and I have no qualms admitting that, because it's one of my favorite talismans. You can slap this on any build and it'll at least put you something. I appreciate that it's a procedural game. health at a flat rate, but I'd rather just have the Blasphemous Blade if I'm going to invest in a health stacking build. It'll save you a faster room in exploring larger dungeons, but that's where most of its utility stops. 40% extra stamina damage against whoever is blocking your attacks, and I feel half tempted to criticize the item description for wording its function in the most back-ass, counterproductive way possible, but I'm not even sure if I could do any better. Mostly just because the function itself is also kind of weird. It doesn't mean voice damage in general, just extra stamina damage if the enemies are attacking is blocking, which is much more narrowing than it actually sounds. This limits you to standard soldiers and knights, and I guess those guys in Raya Lucaria that like hold their sword up for a couple seconds in a blocking stance. It's called a Knight Killer because that's all it fucking works against. Oh, get it? Oh, and invaders. If anyone in PvP uses shields. Pretty sure they don't. Do they? Fingerprint shield doesn't count. Talisman slots are not cheap. You only have 4 of them, so I'd rather devote time thinking about what a particular situation calls for and what type of defense I might need instead of just throwing on something that slightly covers everything and hoping it works. Most enemies don't have the capability of dealing multiple elements of damage except maybe Gideon and Placidusax and a couple others, but who cares? Even in PvP, most builds are themed around a certain 1 or 2 elements just because that's how people like playing the game. The +2 variant negates 9% of each element, which is honestly just terrible for a +2. Any other Drake Talisman of the same tier offers 20% damage negation, and even if they do stack together, that's still a talisman slot I'd rather be using to damage of my own. So this talisman is ass unless you tend to lean towards a certain trait style. The +2 variant gives you an 11% bonus, which is such an uncomfortable number for anything to be buffed by, and I don't know why that bugs me so much, but I'm sure it does some of you too, so I thought I'd mention it. I also have no idea why the fuck you find the +1 variant in Castle Sol somewhere hours after you probably found the +2. Unless mind is one of your top 3 highest stats, you just aren't going to feel the difference on this, like, period. And even at 40 minds, you're giving yourself like 3 more Glintstone pebbles, but 11% does start getting pretty large in the endgame. The less competent of the 2 branch swords, obviously, 50% defense at 20% HP or below. You might as well be offering me thoughts and prayers. During the endgame, even stubbing your toe on a table can be enough to bypass the 20% HP threshold entirely and just kill you. But if you can manage to nail the sweet spot, you theoretically have twice the HP to work with, which is extended even further if you have uplifting aromatic and overly bubble shield. Although I'd probably use those if you're sure you're close to the threshold and not wait until you're actually in the threshold because you'll probably get yourself killed that way. Once again, I see the appeal, I see why people like it, but the flat bonus really just throws off so much shit in the endgame and in-game bless. Just as a reminder, having 40 mind means you have 220 FP as a base, and if you're into spellcasting builds, this is not a benchmark that's hard to reach at all. You'll probably hit it by the time you get to the mountaintop. 15 FP translates to less than 7% compared to the Crimson Daggers, and the returns only diminish from there. On low FP builds, this actually ends up being pretty useful if your mind has a little reason to go above like 20, but anything even somewhat suited for spellcasting in the late game, it just isn't doable with this. Okay, so here's the thing about Gold Scarab. Dark Souls 3 and earlier iterations of Soulsborne were extremely linear and much more closed off compared to Elden, making grinding the surrounding enemies levels of basic threat. But one big benefit of the open world is that you get to choose your battles way more frequently, resulting in game where leveling is significantly less important. Every Souls game has the spot where you just tend to go and grind whatever the currency is. Yeah, Elden Ring has like 5 of them. Why do I need this? No, seriously, why the fuck do I need this? Most of the heirloom talismans will roughly be around the same area of the video because increasing a single stat by 5 may help you meet requirements for certain weapons and spells and whatnot, and unfortunately that's where the utility on pretty much all of these begin and end. But I'm putting the Stargazer heirloom as the least useful of these 4 because most spell requirements you've either already met or are set to meet very easily in the future thanks to the Astrologer class. The only exception being the large Showstopper spells that cost multiple slots. Also probably the most boring of the 4, but that's just my opinion. Did you know there are some people out there who think this is a Sekiro reference? Once again, I would only ever use these to meet the requirements of early game weapons that need a certain stat, but with dexterity already being as weird as it is, tied to so many different variables like casting speed, lightning damage on weapons but not with spells, whatever, dexterity is probably something you're going to be preoccupied with leveling up anyways, unless you're just itching to grab a big stick and distribute brain damage across the local playthrough. The Great Shield Talisman, ironically enough, is absolute dog talk when used with Great Shields. The Great Shield Talisman is used for improving guard ability and decreasing the amount of stamina damage you take when blocking by about 20%. It does nothing to guard counters, but I blame the item description for making us all believe that. Great Shields are already efficient enough at stamina damage negation, so this actually ends up getting more use on builds with medium or even light shields. I don't know, this one's just awkward. It's a Great Shield Talisman that doesn't work on Great Shields, and I still don't know how to feel about that. You like big sticks? Cool. You want to be able to use that great axe you get from the Limgrave Troll cart? Well, with this, you can. That's about the only good thing I can think of for them. Fucker takes 30 strength, and Lord knows I don't have the patience to sink the levels and do it this early, so I as well use this. This talisman I would consider the best of its family because there are so many starting incantations that every build just benefits from, no matter what. Increasing your faith by 5 is a pretty massive difference when most starting incantations usually don't go above like 15 faith as a requirement. Flame Cleanse Me, Pure Poison, Whirl of Flame, and many others are now easily accessible, all because of a little yellow diamond. And although 5 levels isn't much at all, like not even slightly, this talisman is the key to taking advantage of all those starting incantations that you might just not want to fully dedicate to your character until later. It's always awkward deciding where these should be because they belong to a family of talismans with the exact same functions. And so the utility of each talisman ultimately comes down to the amount of time you run into a certain kind of damage, status, enemy type, so on and so forth. Which inevitably means the Bolt Great Talisman will be coming in last of those because the 4 elemental damage types, lightning is probably the one damage type you run into the least. The Lanedale Knights aren't the hardest challenge in the world, and Fire Missoula is deep enough into the endgame that you should already have plenty of tools to counteract lightning damage from any source. Also, the +2 variant is in a really awkward spot, and it pisses me off. So it's going to. The Spell Great Talisman, I would say, is the third of the 4 elemental greats. Bosses like Azula and the 2 Estelas are examples of late-game magic bosses that can very easily cleave out half your health bar by accidentally farting in the wrong direction. I've said this before, I've even used this as a case for Barrier of Gold. A lot of people tend not to give it a shot in PvE because they feel like they've bypassed the magic season of the game with something really hard. Doing this up again, because although that is true, Raya Lucaria is still a massive bulk of where you're going to deal with magic damage in the game. The +2 variant you find in the hidden path to the Halo tree, and I can't think of a single instance of magic damage anywhere past that shit, so not like it even matters. Disgusting. Absolutely filthy. I don't know, I mean the talisman. Deathblight is barely encountered outside of worm faces and basilisks, and their existence on this planet, virtual or not, upsets me tremendously. I guess I could also count the Mausoleum Knights and Deathbirds, but either of those enemies are really a bit nail in my pancreas, more so than the 2 aforementioned. I'd rather dedicate a slot towards status ailment that's more common and more of a problem. See above. As middle of a road as I can think of. That's going to be the case for the next 2 talismans on this list. The Dragon Crest Shield Talisman increases physical defense. That's it. That's what it does. And it's exactly as useful as you think it is. The +2 variant offers just enough damage negation to feel comfortable while not feeling overpowered because you still can only take a maximum of 3 consecutive hits from anything past the mountaintops. It helps as much as it needs to, and if you need more help than that, then it tells you to fuck right off and charge your ass on the tip of the spear. This is a godsend if your mind is towering above 60 and the only way you've ever played the game is hanging back a football field's length away from anything that looks threatening while chucking rocks and lava and lightning, whatever the shit else, into their face. I've never used this. I've never had a reason to, but I can see it being kinda necessary if you'd rather invest those sacred tears into the Crimson Flask. I can't argue what it's actually like using it, because once the Cerulean Flask gets to around +5, I just stop putting tears into it because it almost always gives me a full refill. I guess the Cerulean Flask just works better proportionally. I've never felt like I've needed an extra 20%, but it's there if people want it, I suppose.